Marketplace may refer to as an open space or square in a town where people buy and sell things. As we see in today's time that marketplace has evolved. It's no longer like the way buyers and sellers physically come to purchase goods or services. It's now more like when purchasing an airline ticket, for example, individuals go online and interact with different airline suppliers. This also applies to the advent of the coronavirus that shifted the grocery purchases from in-store presence to home delivery. Demand is the quantity of a good or services that buyers wish to purchase at each possible price, with all other influences on demand remaining unchanged. According to this law, the amount of products people buy depends on their price. The higher the price, the less the quantity of goods customers purchase, and vice versa. This is since the customers purchase the unit of products to serve their urgent needs, and those that come next are only necessary to fulfill their secondary needs. There are many reasons why the laws of demand are important. But before this, we'll understand what the market demand curves imply. The market demand curve is a graph that shows the relationship between the price of a product and the demand for the particular product. The price is typically shown on the y-axis of the graph, while the demand is shown on the x-axis of the graph. So now, understand what law of demand is. The law of demand is a fundamental economic principle according to which the higher the price of products, the lower the demand for them, and the price of products purchased. The law helps understand the rules of resource allocation and price formation of products. The curve shows the inverse relationship between price and the quantity that consumers are willing and able to buy, that is the quantity demanded. As you see in the graph here, we see price and quantity. When the price goes up, the quantity demanded falls, and when the price goes down, the quantity demanded increases and people are willing and able to buy more or want to buy more. There are three reasons for law of demand, which are the substitution effect. The substitution effect refers to the change in demand for a good as a result of a change in the relative price. So now, when price goes up for a particular product, let's say for instance bread, people substitute away from bread to another product, let's say biscuit or cake. And when the price falls for bread, people tend to leave that other product to bread. So that's more like substitution effect. These are the reasons why there's a change. Once the price goes up, the demand, once the price goes up, people tend to demand for something different, basically. So income effect. Income effect refers to the change in demand for a good as a result of a change in the income of the consumer. So when the price goes up for bread, people going to buy less bread because they have less purchase power. So they cannot purchase what they don't have, or they cannot buy something that they don't have the enough income to purchase, or the enough, let's say, money to buy. So these are the reasons why for the laws of demand. Marginal utility. Marginal utility is the added satisfaction that a consumer gets from having one more unit or a good or services. As a consumer, more bread you get, less additional satisfaction or happiness from it. So the price has to fall to increase the quantity that people are going to buy. Reasons for the shift in demand are preference, number of buyers, price of related goods, income, and change in expectation. When you're talking about preference, you're talking about tasting preference. You're talking about what the individual wants at that particular time. So what is preference? It refers to the order in which an agent ranks alternative based on their relative utility. So preference would definitely shift the demand curve. Numbers of buyers as well will shift the demand curve. When there are more buyers in the market, the goods or service demanded goes up, and when there are less buyers in the system, the demand goes down. So numbers of buyers can shift the demand curve. Price related goods. The price related goods comes with either the substitute or the complement. So now when you're talking about the substitute, we'll take for example, because when you hear substitute, you already understand is taking a particular goods for another goods. So now let's take bread for example and cake. When bread is substituted, when the price of bread goes up or increases, people tend to buy more cake. If the price of bread goes up, people tend to buy more cake. If the price of bread goes down, people tend to go back to buying bread. So this changes, this creates a shift in demand curve. And as well complement. How does complement create a shift in demand curve? We'll use, for example, what's the best complement I will ever think of now? Let's say ice cream and cone. If the price of cone increases, the demand for ice cream would reduce because that is a complementary goods. Or let's say Pepsi and pizza. Let's say it's a particular shop that sells Pepsi and pizza, and you want to buy pizza, and they tell you that the price of pizza has increased. The demand for Coke will drop in the market. That's price of related goods. So income. In income refers to the money that a person or entity receives in exchange of their goods, of their labor or product. So we'll discuss more on. In this income, we have the normal goods and the inferior goods. The normal goods is when income goes up, they buy more of it, and income goes down, they would buy less of it. So once the income goes, normal goods is once the income goes up, they buy more of that goods, and when the income goes down, they buy less of that goods. So that's income goods. And understand inferior goods is when income goes up, people buy less of the goods, and when the income goes down, people will buy more. So this creates a shift in the demand curve. Change in expectation as well creates a shift in the demand curve. Why is understanding what supply means? Supply is defined as the total amount of a given product or services a supplier offers to consumers at a given period of time or a given price level. For instance, a higher demand may push a supplier to increase supply. Whilst the supply curve is a graphical expression of the relationship between price and quantity supplied, with other influences remaining unchanged. So as we understand what supply means and what it entails in terms of the laws, is a direct relationship between price and quantity supplied. So now there are 5 shifts of the supply curve, which are the price of resources, technology, government involvement, numbers of sellers and expectation. Talking about price of resources. Price of resources is the amount used to purchase the item for production. For example, if the price of flour goes up, that is going to cause the supply curve to decrease. And a decrease in supply curve shifts the supply curve to the left. So just as the demand curve, an increase in demand shifts to the right. So that's a decrease in the left as well. So if the price of the production of the bread falls, let's say it falls for instance, the curve would shift to the right. So that's for price of resources. So now apparently, let's use chocolate. If cocoa increases, the price, if let's say if cocoa increases, it causes the supply to decrease, because it causes the supply to decrease. So that's why one of the shifters of the supply curves are technology. Change in technology. So if there is a new machine that produces bread faster than and cheaper than we would, it will cause the supply curve to shift to the right. So if there are any technology that can do a faster and a cheaper job, that would shift the curve of production to the right. So government involvement. Action of government can also cause the demand, the supply curve to shift. So if government tend to tax the suppliers, this shifts the demand curve to the left. But if they give subsidies and give more money to the supply agent, this will cause the supply curves to move to the right. So as well, numbers of sellers can shift or can make an impact in the shift in the supply shifter. If there are less sellers, supply will shift to the left, and if there are more sellers, supply will shift to the right. And expectation as well. Pricing is a limit on the price of a goods or services imposed by the government to protect consumers by ensuring that prices do not become prohibitively expensive. While price floor prevents price from falling below a certain level. When a price floor is set above the equilibrium price, quantity supplied will exceed quantity demanded, and excess supply or surpluses will result. Price floor and price ceiling often lead to unintended consequences. Economists may call this the market clearing price, the only price or quantity where the quantity demand equals the quantity supplied. So if there is a change in the price of bread that moves along the demand and supply curve, change in the quantity demanded and change in the quantity supplied, it is called the disequilibrium. For example, the price is below and the quantity demanded is greater than the quantity supplied, is referred to as shortage. That is to say that the demand of bread is high, but the producers don't want to produce very much. That is shortage. But if the producer want to produce very much and the consumers don't want to buy a lot more of bread, that is called the surplus. So in the summary of this, I'll read to conclusion of our slides. We spoke about the marketplace, and which is referred to as an open space square in a town where people buy and sell things. We talk about the demand curve, the law of demand, the effects of the demand in the demand curve, what it does, the substitution, the income effect at the marginal utility. We spoke about the demand shifters, the preference, numbers of buyers, price of related goods, income, and change in expectation. And we spoke about supply, what supply means. We spoke about the curve, the law of supply, the shifters of supply, the price of resources, technology, government involvement, numbers of sellers, and expectation as well. So we shed a brief light on price ceiling and price floor, as well as understanding what equilibrium is and what happens when equilibrium exceeds and goes below. So that's the summary of the slides that I'm making here. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. Thank you very much.